Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Snow Goer Live. John Prusak here from Snow Goer Magazine, talking to you from a cabin in the North Woods of Wisconsin. Let me start by potentially apologizing. We're having a little bit of connectivity trouble up here in the North Woods. My two guests have been able to join me in the background. We're going to give this our best shot, but if something were to happen or if I occasionally freeze up, I apologize for that up front. So as I said, we're up here in the North Woods of Wisconsin. Sawyer County trails have opened this week, or some of them. So we decided, hey, let's stay at a buddy's cabin, drive up to the greater suburban Hayward area and give it a run. That was probably a mistake, quite frankly. It was as I said to the guys who are backstage right now, it was a good day for Woody's or Stud Boy or whoever I buy my next set of carbides from, because we hit a lot of rocks on the trails, but still nice to get out. We got out onto some lakes tomorrow morning. We're getting get up early, head to the UP, get some more miles on the sleds, and then head down to one of my favorite places on earth, Eagle River, Wisconsin, which will be the topic of much of our conversation here today, Eagle River, Wisconsin. When we launched this show, I said I was going to tell you about the sleds we're riding and what we're riding on. Well, I kind of told you what we're riding on. Today's machines were a 2025 Polaris 9R Indy XCR. Which that 9R engine is a lot of fun. That thing really has just unbelievable torque right off the bottom. And then we took our second trip of the season with our 2025 Skidoo MXZ 850. It's an X. Again, a really fun sled. Frankly, my counterpart Greg spent most of today on that while I was on the 9R. We'll switch it up tomorrow and then head down to Eagle River. Again, you're watching Snow Goer Live. This is our third episode of this new season. This is a weekly show that'll be most Thursday nights in season at 7:30 Central Time. It's the reason it's most is because sometimes I'm traveling and I'm kind of a one-person editorial team at Snow Goer, so there's no one to do it in my wake. In February, as a matter of fact, 3 of the Thursdays I am on the road, but I think I'm going to be able to at least get 2 of those done from hotel rooms or ballrooms or something. So keep tuning in. Our show is, as always, sponsored by Arctiva and Z1R. Arctiva, of course, has a full line of snowmobile gear, from jackets, bibs, boots, gloves, helmets, head socks, base wear, midwear. They've got it all. They can be found at arctiva.com. Z1R is kind of their sister brand. It's a helmet company for most snowmobilers. That's how we know it. They make an array of different sorts of helmets. They also make helmets and other outerwear for the motorcycle market, and they can be found at z1r.com. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in with the guests, because our guests this week are wonderful. And we're going to start with a 4-time world champion, a Hall of Famer, a Mr. PJ Wanderscheid, joining us from central Minnesota. PJ, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you tonight, John?
Well, as I said, I was hoping for a slightly better ride today, but, it's still better than a day on the couch, right?
I'm a little jealous because I haven't put 1 mile on, so you're ahead of me, no matter how bad it was.
Well, the upshot is it sounds like we're going to get the real cold now. So any concerns anyone has about swamps being froze up or lakes or anything, those are in the past. So now we just need some precipitation. Yeah,
that's always a big factor. Get everything froze up and let it snow, right?
Yep, absolutely. So as I said, we're talking a lot of Eagle River on this week's episode, because this weekend is the 62nd running of the Eagle River World Championship Snowmobile Derby, and it's always one of my very favorite events of the year. I'm guessing it had to be one of your favorites because you started winning them when you were just an 18-year-old boy. Well, first of all, let's just talk about that first one in 2002. What expectations did you have going into that? You're 18 years old, you're just turning pro, and all of a sudden there you are holding the cup.
Yeah, it was a wild weekend, wild year for sure. I guess, our expectations were just to go there. We never been there before, first year pro. I guess our goals going into that first weekend was just qualify for the final. And we did that. We were ecstatic. Like, we won everything, right? Like we were on, cloud 9. So everything from there was a bonus. And obviously, as history had it, it couldn't have gone any better. It was unreal. Everybody was surprised, including myself on Sunday. We'll just say that.
The best part is somebody who was standing there in the infield, and you got people, talking, well, how the hell did that kid win or whatever, was the fact that you came back the next year and backed it up. And then obviously two more after that, but to win it back to back like that, and to basically show everybody, no, that we deserve to win that one.
Yeah, it was a lot of talk to start with that, it was a fluke. He should have never won. And, the critics are, how they are. So I use that through my entire career as a motivation. Like, I'm going to just, show everybody that who I am, and I'm going to prove them wrong. Right. And it was really a fuel for me through everything is, I'm going to do what I do best and prove everybody wrong. And I love doing that. It was so much fun. And I truly loved being an underdog. It was the most satisfying thing when you won and nobody expected you to. It was great.
So again, doing the show on kind of the eve of the start of the Eagle River World Championship Snowmobile Derby. Today they were pulling pins for their qualifying positions and stuff. But it really gets tomorrow's when they do the time trials as opposed to Thursdays back when you used to run. But for a team, the night before time trials and going into the weekend, what are you thinking about? What are you working on? What's the general vibe in the trailer leading up to such a big event?
It was, months and months of preparation up to that point. So, I mean, when you showed up at the racetrack, it was, we kind of got what we got, and now we just need to focus, hit our marks, make sure that we don't make any dumb mistakes. But, the groundwork was laid, and you had what you had at that point. So we were always very adamant of, let's make sure we're prepared and not scramble and not try to put ourselves in a situation where, you are not prepared, and you naturally get enough of that for, you crash or you spin out or somebody runs into you. You can be as prepared as you want, but you just try to take as many factors as you can out up to that point, and hope luck's on your side, because at the end of the day at Eagle River, that track decides who's going to win, because a lot of times the fastest guy doesn't win at Eagle River. It's in being in the right place at the right time and making the right pass and choosing the right lines. And man, that's what makes it exciting. It's a driver's track. That's why I loved Eagle River so much.
Again, you won 4 of them here. You also won other classes and did different things. Do you have a moment in time or a specific memory that really sticks with you from this track? Just something that just will hang with you forever?
Obviously, that first one, that was a pretty special one, but probably the one that I'll probably remember the most is in 2011 when we won our 4th, because we made history. Nobody said it could ever be done, and we didn't win a few years before then, so it was kind of you pick yourself back up and you get back to the top. So that was probably the one, just because of the history behind it, and the amount of people that never got there that are so good. I don't credit myself to be the best racer, but there's a lot of people that are very qualified that didn't get that many wins. So it's pretty cool to be in that club with that 4 wins for sure.
Yeah. It's a pretty exclusive club with you and Blaine. The 4-time thing definitely puts you among the absolute elite. Beyond the Derby, do you have other tracks that when you were in your oval racing career that were favorites, or other things that being on the road with your family, with your traveling Wilburys out there racing on the road? Does anything jump to mind?
Oh yeah, definitely. Beausejour was always a nemesis of mine for years. We hardly could never finish a final up there. We'd have problems and breakdown and crash and everything. When we finally broke through in that, and I think it was 2010, we won our first one up there, pretty dominating. So that was like, you took the monkey off your back and like, wow, this is a big race. Am I ever going to win this thing? Because we just had terrible results up there for so many years. So that was a pretty special one to win. And then we won it the next year after that. So that was probably one of those memories, or one of those wins that definitely on the top shelf too for us.
Okay, very good. So again, this weekend, the big race, we know you bleed green as much as anybody on this planet. But is there any predictions you want to make for this weekend for the World Championship class? Anybody you're really watching?
Oh, obviously, the guys that are going to be up there, you're going to have Blaine Stevenson. He's always fast. He showed it earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Matt Gady, he has proven himself the last couple of years. He's a bulldog. He raced for us for a half a season. Man, he's a driver. He can drive anything. Gunnar Stern, I mean, he's always fast, but you can't count out the rest of the field. As you said, we ran in that race when we were 18, and nobody expected us to win, right? So there's probably some of them guys in the field that want that win just as bad or not worse than everybody else. So I don't rule anybody out, because about the time you turn your back, like, no, we got them covered. Man, they come out with a vengeance, and they're going to be competitive. So that's what's great about Eagle River. Like I said, it's such an exciting track, and there's never lack of excitement there, it seems like.
Yeah. The one thing, and I'll probably touch on this later again, but the group of Michigan racers that has been coming over the last few years has been showing so well. So many of those people that are in the Myra circuit and maybe to the USSA community, they're not as known quantities. But boy, whether it's Joey Birch or Zach DeWald or some of these other kids that are so fast, it's going to be interesting to see if that cup ends up over on Moyle's side of the border.
Yeah, no, them guys know how to run the that 600 chassis, because they run it all the time.
Yeah,
and so they're not to be counted out either. So that's, like I said, it makes Eagle River so fun, because you just never know who's going to win, and those guys have equally as good a chance as anybody else. So it's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah. So PJ, you retired at a relatively young age to help run the family's dealership. Get people caught up with what you're doing now.
Yeah, so I'm part owner here at Country Cat, so that keeps me busy. Definitely, it's not a 9-to-5 job by any means. So we put a lot of effort into it, and we're just as competitive into this business as we were racing. So, that competitive spirit still lives on. We're still involved with snowmobiles. We sponsor snowmobile racers. So we're not out of it totally here. So, but we have a good time following it, and everybody asks, "Do you miss it?" And I say, no, but I wouldn't give it up for the world, because it was a lot of fun, that's for sure. So, but yeah, we stay busy. I got 3 kids at home, and they keep us busy. And new to us here, probably, we got a little different horsepower in the house. My kids got horses this past summer here, so I'm thinking I found a hobby that's more expensive than racing now. Is definitely the horse world. So it's interesting learning that as well.
I bet it is. Yeah. Yeah, that's quick sidebar story. My when we were down on our honeymoon, my wife she grew up around horses, and so we rented some horses, or whatever you do with horses, and we're going out, and I'm just nervous as hell, and you can see the horse that I'm riding has his ears back. He wants nothing to do with me, and she's like, "What's wrong with you? You'll jump on anything and drive 100 miles an hour like that." And I'm like, "Yeah. When I drive stuff that doesn't have a personality, this horse has a personality."
That is 100% what I say. I don't get on. I'm like, I'm a little spooked out. I'll financially support this, but I'm not sure if I want to get on one of them things, because it doesn't have a brake and a tether. So yeah, I don't know.
We're kindred spirits in that way. Very, very good. So as you said, you're an Arctic Cat dealer, probably the biggest. I don't know if it's the biggest, but certainly one of the very biggest Arctic Cat dealers in the country, in Country Cat. You guys are known for doing so many different things, but also that makes this year's news about Arctic Cat and multiple rumors got to be really close to the heart for you personally. How are you dealing with everything? And you got any fresh rumors for us on what's going to happen with our good friends from Thief River Falls?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. You kind of heard the rumors for a year or two here now that John Deere's buying them, and Bobcat's buying them, and CF Moto's buying them, and Argo's buying them. And, I've heard it all pretty much. I don't know what to believe. Obviously, Textron is a public traded company, so I don't think you're going to get a real good feel for who's actually going to be coming out in the end. But everybody says, "Man, you guys doing okay?" and that type of thing. It's like, well, it is what it is. There's not much we can do about it. it's in a way it's almost exciting because you don't know what the future brings, and it could bring really good things. But when we got that dealer communication that said Arctic Cat is suspending production indefinitely, it was kind of a punch to the gut. But I mean, the positive thing was they said they're going to produce parts, they're there for warranty and all that. So I'm definitely optimist. So I took that as positive news. Let's see what comes out of it, and we're along for the ride.
Yeah, I suppose. All right. Well, again, you're watching Snow Goer Live. We're sponsored by Arctiva and Z1R, and our guest right now is PJ Wanderscheid. PJ, before I let you go, I got to ask, deep down in your heart, will you ultimately be cheering for either Ben Lungus or Dustin Schwant to win this weekend so you can have a green Snow Goer Cup?
Well, it would be really cool to see a cat up there again. I'm not going to lie about it, but I got a lot of good friends that I raced against, like I said, Matt and Gunner and Blaine. So, those guys I always kind of gotta cheer for on the side as well, even though they're not the right color what I prefer. But I love of racing, of everything. I got a lot of good racing memories, but the friendships along the way is probably the most cherished thing. Just a lot of good guys in any type of racing, and it was fun being a part of it.
I've talked about that with other racers and race team owners and various things over the years. It just the fact that the racing community is such a tight community that travels together and sees each other every weekend. People see you guys on the track side by side, and they probably think you're all heated rivals or whatever, but ultimately you're all leading the same lives and all kind of enjoying the same weekends, and you build lifelong bonds doing stuff like that.
Absolutely. They're very common interests. They might be your competitors, but at the end of the day, they're your friends too.
All right. Well, we got all sorts of rumors coming up in our chat here. People saying that it's for sure CF Moto. We got somebody saying something about Amsoil. We got an Eric who says I sure miss watching PJ race. So much fun with his Eagle River battles. Great team and great group of guys. So we appreciate all you guys commenting on our chat. PJ, we're going to spin you loose. We really appreciate you joining us tonight, and hopefully you'll be tuning in this weekend. I'd still love to have you back at Eagle River, but we'll get you back there someday.
Yeah, I'll be watching from my couch. So as much as I miss it, I'll definitely I'll be watching.
I'm not trying to chase anybody away, but they are saying that the high on Sunday is looking like about -6 for a high.
That is probably one factor that I don't miss so much, going out sub below, doing 100-mile-an-hour. That wasn't that much fun.
When I'm in the infield with the camera physically stuck to my fingers, I'll be thinking of you on your couch and
good luck with your frostbite, John.
All right. Well, thanks again, PJ.
Yep, thanks.
Always a pleasure. So again, you're watching Snow Goer Live. We're a weekly TV show, Thursday nights at 7:30. You can watch it here on our YouTube channel or on Facebook Live. Or, frankly, we also have it playing live on snowgoer.com within a story. Our show is brought to you by Arctiva and Z1R. Each week, we'll talk about the sleds we're riding. We'll talk racing. We'll talk rumors. We'll talk, we're mainly trail riders, so don't expect a lot of mountain stuff for us, but we're going to get out west too. We have fun everywhere there's snow. We have one more really special guest to join us tonight, though, and that is Mr. Bobby Donahue, joining us live from Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. How are you tonight, Bobby?
Hey, pretty good there, John. How are you?
I'm alive and kicking. It's good to be in Wisconsin. It's good to be in the North Country, and you just need to call in a couple favors with the big guy and scatter some more snow around, and we'll be all set.
Well, I'll do what I can, John, but it hasn't been working out too good the last year and a half. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I hear you there, but just means we're due. So, like PJ, Bobby is a world champion at Eagle River. Yours came in 1988. And he's also a member of the Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. And really glad to have you joining us here. And like PJ, you're currently running a family dealership. Tell us about Donahue Speed Sports.
So Donahue Super Sports, we're located in the central part of Wisconsin Rapids, actually. And my mother and father started this back in 1966. Selling Yamaha motorcycles, BSA motorcycles, and moto ski snowmobiles.
Nice.
Of course, this was before Yamaha built snowmobiles, and there was a Skidoo dealer in town already, so my dad couldn't get that franchise. So that's how we started. And Mom and Dad owned it from 66 to 96. And then my two brothers, Terry, myself, and my younger brother, Troy, the three of us bought the business from them. And we built a brand new facility. And we took over in 96, and we've owned it ever since.
Very good. All right.
We currently sell all the BRP products, which, of course, include Skidoo snowmobiles. And, of course, all the Yamaha products, which currently still has Yamaha snowmobiles. But that, of course, we know is going to end fairly shortly.
Yep. Yes, it is. Well, we'll get to the Yamaha snowmobiles here in a little bit. Let's talk Eagle River, because, again, that's where we're headed tomorrow. What stands out about your victory in 1988? What memories were frozen in your head from that day?
Well, listening to PJ, you could almost duplicate everything he says and just put my face in front of it. Okay, Eagle River is a special place in every snowmobile racer's head and heart. Not only is it the toughest darn race to win, it just seems like if luck isn't on your side, no matter how fast you are. It just isn't your day. And we've been fast there and didn't win, and we've been slow there and didn't win. And after finishing second 3 times in that championship race, I thought to myself, is this ever going to happen? And in 1988, that we did win, they did have an earlier race at Eagle River like 3 weeks before called Holiday Spectacular or something there. And I did win that race. It was a short race, maybe a 15-lapper. And I knew we ran pretty good. We were in pretty good shape that year. That race team that we fielded actually was out of our dealership.
Okay.
Of course, I had raced as a factory driver for Yamaha. I had raced as a factory driver for Skidoo, and lived in various places. Raced for other teams along the way, and it was very exciting to get back with my dad and my brothers and Dick Trickle and all the locals here, and go back out and to end my career the way we started my career, back as a family. And we were fast. I think we were the fastest guy there. But Alan Decker was really fast too. And Brad Hewlings was really fast. And Jacques was fast. And Chucky was fast. We had a lot of fast guys. It's bottom line is somebody's going to win and a whole bunch are going to lose. And thank God it was my day finally.
Yeah. You said like PJ, but really, in a sense, and you kind of covered it, yours was the opposite. I guess you'd be more like a Dale Loritz in the sense that you were close so many times, and then finally your time came where
it was funny listening to PJ because he won it at 18. On his first try. I won it at 30 on my last try, which was my 11th try. Yeah. It took me 11 times to win the doggone thing. He won it in his first. So I'm a little jealous with PJ right now that I heard that, okay?
All right, PJ, I got to do this to you because I see you still up on stage. I'm gonna bring PJ back in here with us, if I can. Come on, computer. Here he comes.
I'm here.
So Bobby, when you heard PJ telling that story, did you almost reach through the computer and slap him across the face once, or were you able to control that emotion?
No, I'm way past that. Okay, but, he had a lot of success really early on, and my success built. I don't think I was a born racer. I was the guy that my dad and Dick Trickle made into a racer. I got better and better and better as time went on. I was usually under the snowmobile more than I was sitting on the seat in my earlier days. I tried to race it like a motorcycle, which is what I did. I was a motorcycle racer that became a snowmobile racer. And snowmobiles, especially in the earlier, certainly don't turn like motorcycles, Yep. Yeah, so it was really fun. But yeah, I'll tell it to PJ's face. I'm a little jealous, damn it. You had it all right away and I had to work forever to get it.
Yeah, I was never a motorcycle guy, so I just concentrated on the snowmobiles ever since about 3 on. So I guess I lived on a snowmobile. So maybe it gave me a little advantage of that's all I did from 3 on was ride snowmobile anytime anybody would let me. I would say I was on a snowmobile.
Well, the other thing is, they say people learn from their mistakes. It probably just took guys like Bobby and I a lot longer to learn. You must have just learned from your mistakes earlier, PJ.
Oh, believe me, I did a lot of stuff before I started racing, just ripping around the house. Sure. So I guess I made my share of mistakes too.
Yeah. Well, I think. All right. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry, but I think the thing with our team is we were fast enough to win a lot of those years, but we made the mistakes that PJ talked about,
Sure.
and we overtuned, we overthought the race, and we lost because of that. And it was very, very disappointing, and we could sit back at the end of the day and, if you wanted to, point fingers on who made the error, but it doesn't matter. You're a team, you win as a team and you lose as a team. And there was never any finger pointing in our team. That's not the way we operated. So when we won, we also won as a team. And that's the exciting part of it all,
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, at 18, PJ, I won my very first snow pro race. So no, it wasn't Eagle River, but it was at Alexandria. And a real quick story there is I was racing, I had one snowmobile, an SRX 340. This is in 1976. I don't even know if you're even born yet, but it was 1976. You weren't even born yet? Well, this is embarrassing to tell this story, man. But anyhow, so we go to Alexandria, and back then there was a lot of people racing. I mean, it was nothing to have 100 guys in 340 stock alone. I mean, that's how big the fields were. And I got third in the final, and I was ecstatic. And my dad was disappointed. He said, well, you only got third today. I said, Dad, look at everybody that's here. So we raced mod stock then on Sunday. And my dad definitely knew how to make a two-stroke run, and especially a Yamaha run. And we won that race. So behind our back, Dick Trickle goes up to Jim Bilkey, the promoter at the Alexandria race, and he talks Jim into letting me enter the race. I don't know how, because it's probably like 1 o'clock in the afternoon or something. And I'm sitting in the truck, basically undressed. And Dick says, hey, Bobby, you got to get dressed. You got to get ready. You're in the third heat. I said, the third heat of what? GoPro. They're gathering on the line. My dad looked at him and says, he's not entered. He said, yeah, Jim let him in. So we went out there, and no lie, through it all the heats and all the semis and all that, I won that 340 Snow Pro feature race.
Cool.
That, quite frankly, was how I become who I am. It was that race, You had your moment. That was my moment,
That's a very cool story.
Yeah, but it took me 12 more years to really figure the rest of it out, okay?
Beginner's luck.
Yeah. I was picking on you earlier about taking longer to learn, but I was going to jump in with that my God, you won so many other races as a young man. You won all over the snow belt. So I wasn't trying to make light of your early career, because it not just in ovals, but certainly in the snowcross and stuff as well. So PJ, I'm going to throw you back in the back room here, because I don't want to cut into Bobby's time. And there he disappears. So kind of the same question I had for PJ. So it's a day before things really get rolling at Eagle River. What were you guys doing in the 80s to get ready for that event when it was right on the eve?
In 88, John, we were really competitive, okay? Going into that race, we had won, I think, 3 of the 5 races, the Formula One feature races that year, going into Eagle River. And of course, the week before, we had won at Plymouth. So because of that, I wouldn't say I was overly confident, but I knew we were competitive, okay? So Dick Trickle always came to our shop the week before Eagle River with a 12-pack and a pack of smokes, and there he shows up about 10 o'clock on Monday night, and he says, what are we going to do? I said, Dick, we're going to do absolutely nothing. And he says, well, what do you mean? Are we going to build something? Dick wanted to build something. He always wanted to build something. He was one creative genius when it came to making parts and pieces and making anything go fast. Between him and my dad, I'd have to be a pretty poor racer if I didn't win. Trust me. I had a hell of a team behind me. So I said to Dick, he says, well, what do you mean you're not? And I told him how well we had done racing, and he knew that. He says, well, what happens if you get crashed? I says, well, what do you mean? He said, well, do you got spare parts built? Are you ready? He said, what if you go into turn 1? And this is exactly what he said. Don't take any offense, Jacques. He said, what if you go into turn 1 and Jacques just paced you going into turn 1? He said, here's what we're going to do, Bobby. He said, we're going to take every spare part you got, and we're going to have it ready and quick, and you can pop it on the sled and pop it back on and all that. So we did that. That's what we worked all week on. Spare tracks already studded exactly the way they were supposed to be. Spare rear suspensions already adjusted in the sled, already adjusted and pulled back out. The whole front 4-bar front ends, lefts and rights, spindles, skis, tie rods, everything, all bolted on the sled, all taken right back off. So spare hood, spare tail section, spare handlebars, spare throttle cable, spare clutches, everything we had in pieces. Instead of it being in boxes, everything was made into sub-assemblies, put on the sled, taken back off. So in case the inevitable did happen, we could get it fixed as fast as possible.
Wow,
and thank God none of that happened,
Yeah.
But that was what we did. That was our preparation because we were competitive finally. So now let's take care of the what ifs,
Right. So within the chat, Brett Richter, who covers the heck out of oval racing for us, a great friend of the show, asked Bobby, how does the sport maintain the knowledge base that people like the Walls, Loritz, Hools, and you bring to the sport today? How and the people who are, he had mentioned guys like Loritz and Wall and Hool and stuff like that are still building chassis and working on machines and stuff. As they age, he asked, how do we replace that knowledge? I mean,
pretty much every one of those guys you just mentioned had stayed with it. They drove until their driving career was over, and then they either grabbed a son or a driver or whoever, but they never really left the sport. So they kind of stayed with the time, so to speak, as the evolution of the technology and the rules and all that changed, and engines and chassis, they were there. So I did that as well, but not on a full-time basis like those guys, because I have a business to run as well.
Sure.
So I helped a number of snowcross racers all the way up to the pro national level, and then I helped the last oval racer I helped was Cardell Potter, and
world
he
champion
ended up
himself
in the World Championship in 2015.
Yep.
And that was very rewarding for me to be able to watch a young guy that struggled and was learning the business, learning the sport, and to be part of the team that helped make that guy the best of the best on that particular day. So the problem is when he left, my kids were starting to grow up, and although my wife didn't think much of them racing, I don't know why that was, but she thought it was dangerous for some reason. I don't know why she thinks that, but she did. And so I kind of walked away from it. I said, you know what? I've spent the last 20 years helping everybody else's kids. I guess it's time I spend time with my kids. So that's what I did. I walked away from it, and I don't know. I get a lot of calls. I get a lot of young guys that come in here. We help them snowcross race and all that. I talk to and mentor more people than I can mention, probably well in excess of 100 if you consider all the motorcycle racers. And that's how I pass it on, is verbally. But as far as going to the track, I think those days are done.
Okay. Switching gears here a little bit, your world championship victory was on a Skidoo, a twin tracker. But for many of us, we will always think of you as a Yamaha racer. Your various victories in that, whether it's Formula 3, whether it's the snowcross stuff, whatever it is, I would assume part of your heart bleeds blue a little bit.
Well, I think actually red, because they were red back then, red and white. But yes, blue today. And I would be lying, and the BRP people aren't going to like to hear this, but I'm a Yamaha guy at heart.
Yeah, I know.
So that's what I was raised with. That's what my dad raced. That's what I raced when I was young. I had a lot more success on Yamahas than I ever did Skidoo. But being a factory driver for Yamaha at a very young age and getting all the support I did from them at a young age, and along with my dad's drive and determination, the Yamaha success was phenomenal. We won a lot of races, like you said. And I think a lot of people that have been in the sport through my entire career would probably call me a Yamaha guy first, But now to see what happened with Yamaha snowmobiles, it makes you cry inside for sure. But it's part of life, right? I mean, things come and things go, and being in business like we are in our dealership, I'm thankful that we have the BRP brand that will certainly help carry the rest of the snowmobile business on. But we're still a Yamaha dealer, and all the other Yamaha products we still sell. And I have a Yamaha trail sled that I ride beside the Skidoo trail sled that I ride. So I'm a 50-50 guy, and that sounds a little diplomatic, but that's kind of the truth.
Yeah,
they both want success. I have a world championship title in Formula 3 with Yamaha, and I have a Formula 1 title with Skidoo. So anybody that says, hey, you're a Yamaha guy or you're a Skidoo guy only, I said BS. I'm a 50-50 guy.
Yeah. That said, when that announcement came in, what was it, June of 23, I think, that Yamaha was going to be done after the 25 model year. You were one of the very first people I thought of, and frankly, one of the very first people I called to get a reaction. It's certainly heartbreaking news, like you said. It's a business decision. It is what it is. But there's been some fun celebrations in the last year, and another one coming up. Celebrating Yamaha's history in the sport. You had one this fall. Tell people about that.
So in October, this past fall, October of 25, we had what we call the Yamaha Snowmobile Celebration. And probably the hardest thing I had was figuring out what the heck to call it. Finally, I said, let's just call it what it is. We're going to celebrate all the fun and excitement that Yamaha brought into all of our lives. And I had customers from all over come. I had my good friends, Mike Trapp come, and Tim Bender came all the way from New York for the event. We had just a great, great time. Somewhere between 500 and 600 people showed up for the day. We had about 250 just classic racing and trail sleds. A lot of them were just perfectly restored. It's just beautiful, beautiful selection. Everybody had a blast, music and food and probably even a little beer and everything else that goes with it. It was a fun way for us to not mourn Yamaha, but to celebrate what Yamaha brought to the snowmobile industry. And we are all riding a better snowmobile today because of Yamaha. We have Yamaha to thank for a lot of technology that we enjoy today.
Yes, we do.
No matter what brand you like and what brand you own, all these brands are important. They've all bought technology that means something.
Absolutely. So again, you're watching the Snow Goer Live. We're sponsored by Arctiva and Z1R. Our guest at this time is Bobby Donahue from Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. We had PJ Wanderscheid on earlier, so if you didn't catch it, this will be on our YouTube channel and Facebook Live post that you can watch later if you want to. So another celebration is coming up at the Snowmobile Hall of Fame. We just discovered right before we went on air that you and I will both be there together, likely. They're auctioning off the very last Sidewinder boat, but beyond that, it's going to be kind of a reunion of some key Yamaha people. Yeah, are there certain people you're really looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, I think, I talked to my friend Tim Bender, former teammate and former, tough guy to beat on the racetrack, but we were very respectful, and we won a lot of races. It wasn't always a matter of if Yamaha was going to win, it was who was going to win, and that was kind of, especially during the snowcross era. Tim and I had a pretty good grip on things, but Tim, I expect Tim Bender will be there. He's at least, unless something happens, he expects to be there. Mike Trapp, 71 and 72, of course, the guy who really put Yamaha on the map to begin with. He'll be there. I know some of the current sales personnel from Yamaha will be there. I know Bob Starr, their communications manager, will be there as well.
Okay.
He called me actually Monday, I think, as well, and asked me to please come. He said, I heard you hadn't committed yet. He says, so I'm asking you. I said, okay, Bob, I'll be there, I promise. And I know there's a bunch of Yamaha personnel from all over the country, but I don't know who exactly will be there other than that. But from a racer standpoint, I know Tim Bender and myself, Mike Trapp, will be there for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like Greg Marier, who is a Yamaha longtime internal person that a lot of fans may not know, but for a lot of us, he was a point person at Yamaha. He's got a panel discussion plan and a whole bunch of different things, and so it should be really good. And then they're going to auction off that special machine. So I'm really looking forward to the third weekend in February when we all gather in Saint Germain for that.
It's a big day for snowmobilers, a big day for Yamaha, and I think it's really really generous and really professional the way Yamaha is exiting the snowmobile business. I want to compliment that company for making the announcement so early, because it's very risky when you do it early. Yeah. And they called 10 of us dealers into a special a meeting actually in Milwaukee, and told us about it the day before they went public with the information. And he wanted some guidance on where they thought they should go. So they put a lot of trust into us, and I really like the fact that they're taking this last Yamaha SRX serial number 998, and doing it through an auction type format and donating all that money that's going to be generated, which is thousands and thousands of dollars, back into the sport of snowmobiling. That shows you the professionalism and the quality of company Yamaha really is.
Yeah. I am so intrigued by what the high point will be in the bidding, because there's one machine, and there'll be a few Daddy Warbucks on the line who are bidding it up. It's for those who don't know, it's going to be on a web portal called Bring a Trailer, and people will be able to bid back and forth to bid this thing up. It's one of one. It comes in a special crate that's made for it that makes it look like a huge toy. It is absolutely one of the coolest things you'll ever see, and only one person gets to keep that. And as you said, the money comes back to grassroots snowmobiling, but it's just going to be fascinating. I think it's like February 18th is when that thing wraps up during the Hall of Fame banquet, and we'll be at the Hall of Fame banquet watching it live. But aside from that, it's people will be able to kind of keep track of it online and stuff to see what who the lucky winner is. Somebody with more money than me, I guarantee you that.
Yeah, a lot more than me too. I'd love to have it in my showroom, believe me, but I expect that's going to go into the six figures.
Yeah,
I think, and I don't even think barely. I think it's going to go well into it. And I think who's ever got it, like you said, has got a lot deeper pockets than myself, and maybe you included. And and I'm glad that somebody would do that, for the sport. Yeah. It's all great stuff,
So we promised to keep the show to a half hour, and we're already at 42 minutes. So I'm going to let you sign off here in a couple seconds. But I got one final question. We had in the chat, we had somebody comment about how there's that no one had a better growl than a Yamaha triple. So if it doesn't have to be a triple, but is there a favorite Yamaha sled for Bobby Donahue? Trail sled, not race sled.
So, wow. Man, you put a little pressure on the guy for the last one,
Yeah,
that?
How's that?
Race sled, I can tell you real quick, but
okay, we'll give us that.
I agree with whoever said the triples had a certain growl to them, but I'll tell you, a Yamaha Apex, that 4-cylinder, fuel injected, turning almost 11,000 RPM, that has a certain IndyCar sound that no engine ever in the sport of snowmobiling could duplicate. So absolutely. I'm not saying it was necessarily the greatest snowmobile ever built, but as far as exhaust sound, I don't think there's no equal to it. Yeah. I think that's the best.
To me, my favorite 3 sounding snowmobiles overall, and again, I didn't really get into the sport until the early 90s, so I don't have your deep history in it, but give me a VMAX 4, give me like a 98 SRX, and then give me one of the 4-stroke Sidewinder motors. I mean, all 3 of those, just when they light up, are just an incredible sound that can't be matched.
I think if you're bringing back memories here, I'm starting to get goosebumps a little bit, John. If you look at Tim Bender's 1992 VMAX 4 at Eagle River, and he lit that 4-cylinder 2-stroke off, and that thing is turning, I don't know how many RPM, but a bunch. Man, It sounded sweet. That's probably the only snowmobile that I did not race that I wish I would have had the opportunity to.
Okay.
I think I and that sled would have got along just fine. And I think we would have been faster than hell at Eagle River. That's all I'm saying.
Very good. Bobby, we really appreciate your time. You're the kind of guy I could talk to for days and days and not get tired of the stories. But like I said, the whole mission of this show is to keep it to around half hours. I'm going to cut you loose, but hopefully we can have you on again sometime this year.
I appreciate you asking me. And it was fun listening to PJ too. I don't know PJ really well. He's from a different era of racing than I am, but I enjoy that. And, thank you to all the listeners that are watching and their comments. It's been a great time for me too. So thank you.
Very good. Like I said, just bring us the snow. That's all I ask. That's the favor in return.
I got my hands together for you, John.
Perfect. Thanks, Bobby. See ya.
Thank you. Yep. Let us know.
So we'll park Bobby, and now you're stuck with me for the rest of the show. So as I said, you're watching Snow Goer Live. We are a Thursday night program at 7:30 through most of January, February, and March, unless, frankly, I'm traveling. We're then going to pick it up again in the fall. We are sponsored by Arctiva, maker of a full line of jackets, bibs, boots, gloves, everything a person wants to wear for snowmobiling. Arctiva has it. you can find out about it at arctiva.com. Similarly, we're also sponsored by Z1R, that makes a complete line of helmets for the snowmobile industry, and also helmets and other accessories for the motorcycle industry. And they are found at z1r.com. And we'd like to thank both of them. Beyond researching them online, you can also find them at any pretty much any Parts Unlimited affiliated dealership, because they're both affiliated with Parts Unlimited. So check them out. So we'll wrap up with just a few things here. Again, it's Eagle River weekend. Tomorrow, I'm headed to the track after a little bit of trail ride during the day. Then we'll get out and be there for Friday Night Thunder. We'll be there all Saturday for qualifications and things like that. Me and my buddy Greg got our cameras all queued up. We'll be storming around the infield, taking pictures, talking to people in the pits. And then on Saturday night, we'll set the Snow Goer tip sheet. It's something we've done since the 1990s, setting fictional odds on the various racers who made the front row of the final. So that's something that's handed out on the track at the track on Sunday morning. But we also post that really late on Saturday night on snowgoer.com. So check it out there. And then we'll have the most complete coverage of the final anywhere on Sunday night after the race. So this is, and we also get to hand out the Snow Goer Cup, the big traveling trophy. So this is John Prusak geekdom, the going to Eagle River every year. It's my very favorite event of the year. I've only missed one in the last 31 years, and that's when I was covering a I-500 cross-country race. So, it's still a snowmobiling weekend. So related to Eagle River, quickly wrote down some numbers related to this weekend. We have 25 sleds that are going to try to qualify for the for the final at Eagle River. That final will include 12 sleds, so it's 10 in the front row and 2 in the back row that will come through on Saturday night, or on Sunday's last chance qualifying. The final is 25 laps, so 25 drivers entered. We'll have 25 laps for those 12 people who are able to make it that far. It's run straight through now. I believe PJ won it one of the years when it was a split race where they'd race 10, take a short break, and then run another 25. This is more where we switched back to the traditional format a few years back. The field this year includes 2 past champions in Blaine Stevenson, a 4-time winner, and Matt Gady, a 2-time winner, including the last 2. The field also includes 4 bridesmaids, if you will, 4 guys who have finished in second place and want to take that next step on the podium. And they're Tom Olson, familiar name to USSA fans, and a more familiar name, Gunnar Stern, a multi-time champion in the points series, but he's yet to break through at Eagle River. Maybe this is the year. They're also joined by the guys who finished in second place the last 2 years. Those are some of the Michigan racers. Joey Birch, who's, by the way, also a Sioux I-500 winner. And then Zach DeWald, who comes from the very famous enduro racing family, the DeWald family. So all those 4 guys go into this final as much, potential favorites as the 2 past winners. And then we got a complete field after them. The field includes 6 Skidoos this year, 2 Arctic Cats, and then the rest of the field, 17 of them, are Polarises. At one point, it looked like we were going to have a Yamaha, but Jesse Wirgen, who was supposed to race that, sadly got banged up a little bit at Ironwood here a couple weeks ago. And so that beautiful Yamaha that they built to run at this event out of Pat's Yamaha, or Pat's Motorsports up in the UP. Sadly, that thing's going to be parked this weekend, but I guess it'll be there in spirit. So again, 62nd Eagle River World Championship. We've had a lot of fun posting pictures in the last week, and of past champions. We're doing kind of people who won on 5-year periods. This is 2025, which that was a lot of fun. We got a lot of positive feedback, but we also got some negative feedback that is a pet peeve of mine. So I'm going to be angry John Prusak here for just a second. There's so much negativity in the world. It happens not just in snowmobile racing, it happens in everything. It happens in NASCAR. People, there's no Dale Earnhardt, there's no Richard Petty, who, back when Dale Earnhardt was coming through the system, everybody wanted to see Richard Petty, and then Dale Earnhardt came through and they all fell in love with him. And to me, I'm always looking for the next star. talk about snowcross racing. A lot of, I hear different, chatter and message boards and stuff like that. People are all, oh, Blair Morgan this, Tucker Hibbert that. It's just not the same. Elias Ishul is doing some tremendous things. Emil Haar is doing some tremendous things. They have a wonderful rivalry going right now that is going to be really exciting to watch all season if you just give it a chance. It may not be exactly what you remember, but it's still interesting. It's still fun. And people will look back on this era and remember this era and say, God, why don't we have another Elias Ishul? So same thing with the Derby. A lot of comments when we had, pictures posted, bring back the twin trackers or do this or do that. Take nothing away from the good old days. The good old days were wonderful. But the field of racers we have this year at Eagle River is going to put on a great show. They have the last 2 years. I guarantee you that because I've been there watching it. And if you'll just give it a chance, I guarantee you'll be entertained. And beyond that, so many times with things like racing, if you just learn the backstories of some of the racers and get to know who they are and have a favorite to cheer from, it makes it so much more entertaining. So don't be a grumpy Gus in front of the computer or whatever this weekend. Enjoy what the sport has to offer now. You can still celebrate the past, but how about enjoying today too? And while we're talking about enjoying, as I said at the start of the show, we got out riding today. It was an imperfect ride that probably cost us about an inch of carbide, but it was still better than sitting on the couch. The snow's coming. I know in some parts of the country out east, there's some spots that have great snow. Some places in the west have great snow. Michigan is doing awesome. In a lot of parts, get out and enjoy this great sport because it's truly one of a kind. So again, I'm John Prusak. This has been Snow Goer Live, sponsored by Arctiva and Z1R. We got some great guests lined up already for future episodes. We want to thank this week's guest, PJ Wanderscheid and Bobby Donahue, a couple of Hall of Famers and former world champions of the Eagle River. And thanks for joining us. And we will see you next week. Have a nice night, everybody. And now we'll see if the ending credits come up. Here they go.